Dear Thầy, dear Sangha, this is the last part of my three-part PowerPoint presentation. My apology for the screen, which is too small, but I hope I can read some of the letters, so you won't be able to see, but you will hear me. So the talk this evening is entitled, "Why do we practice mindfulness?" Part 3. During the first part, I explored and explained what mindfulness truly is in our Buddhist teaching, and how we can learn to water the seed of mindfulness that lies deep in our consciousness. I also presented the basic practices of mindfulness that we do weekly at our Sangha sessions. And we also discussed various ways to apply the practice in our daily life. And on part 2, that was an easy one for me, because I simply projected a video clip by Thầy on the first 8 exercises of mindful breathing. That was a wonderful clip that you can easily find on YouTube if you miss that one. How do we use our conscious breathing in order to be fully aware of how we think, what we do, and what we say? How do we behave in different conditions in our daily life? So coming for tonight, before we go further, I simply put down here a summary of the basic, the foundation of mindfulness, as the Buddha taught in the Anapanasati Sutra. We can use our conscious breathing and be in control or aware of 4 things. We can be in touch with our body. We can be in touch with our feelings. We can be in touch with the sentiments that arise in our mind consciousness. Those sentiments that we call mind are triggered by the objects of the mind. For instance, for example, we feel angry. There's an anger that comes up in our mind consciousness, and it was triggered by something someone said or an event that irritates us, or anything that waters the seeds of anger in us. So those are objects of the anger. So there's 4 foundations, 4 things, 4 lieux, 4 places where we can establish our mindful breathing with body, feeling, mind, and object of mind. Coming to the next one. So, but we want to go farther than that. And the question is, what is our ultimate goal? in order to answer this question, I need to browse to several books and read about the Mahayana Buddhism, principally, in order to tell you what I am going to tell you. But I can say honestly that this part I have not experienced it. I tell you based on my mental understanding. So that is quite a weakness, but that is how several teachers over several centuries gradually deepen their understanding of the mind, and they transmitted those teachings to today, to Thầy generation, and Thầy described all that in a wonderful book called Understanding Our Mind, or the former title is Transformation at the Base. And we have a copy here that you should borrow and read it in order to follow the historical development of Thầy Mahayana Buddhism. So through the practice, the great teachers believe that we could gain direct insight into the true nature of reality. And through the practice, the great teachers also told us that we could attain the highest state of spiritual awakening and liberation of the cycle of birth and death, known as samsara, as the meditation guided that I have been presenting you this evening. No birth, no death. We want to be attaining this state. And we have to go back to the year 520 after the how you call it, the Christian era, where the Bodhidharma, he is the 27th, going to be 28th patriarch of the lineage coming from the Buddha. And he decided to go to China. So he arrived in southern China. China at that time was governed by Emperor Wu. And Emperor Wu is a great emperor. He is the one who has done a lot for Buddhism in East Asia. He had built hundreds of temples, supported thousands of monks and nuns, sponsored the translation of Buddhist scriptures. He encouraged vegetarianism and Buddhist ethics throughout all his kingdom. So naturally, he expected that such deeds had generated immense spiritual merit. So, in a text entitled The Record of the Transmission of the Lamb that he wrote, there was a famous conversation that I would like to tell you. The emperor asked the Bodhidharma, "Since ascending the throne, I have built temples, copied scriptures, ordained countless monks and nuns. What merit have I gained?" And the Bodhidharma replied, "No merit whatsoever." In Chinese and Vietnamese, vô công đức. The emperor was quite amazed. He continued asking, "Why is there no merit?" The Bodhidharma answered that these were merely worldly or conditioned merits, công đức hữu lậu, merits with leaks. They may bring favorable karmic results, but they do not lead directly to ultimate liberation or awakening. You waste your time. He then explained what the true merit should be: rooted in wisdom, free from attachment, beyond pride, and realize true, direct insight into one's true nature. The emperor was quite agitated. He asked another question: "What is the highest meaning of the holy truth?" The Bodhidharma answered, "Complete emptiness. Nothing holy. You waste your time." Oh boy. This did not mean that nothing is sacred, he said. Rather, from the perspective of ultimate truth, all distinction, including holy and ordinary, are empty of inherent existence. And finally, the emperor asked, "And who is standing before me?" The Bodhidharma said, "I don't know." So at that time, the emperor did not understand the Bodhidharma. The Bodhidharma quietly left the court, crossed the Yangtze River, traveled north. He went up to the north and he established and settled at Shaolin Temple. You know, you may have heard about the word Shaolin Temple if you follow Bruce Lee Kung Fu in the old time. And he spent 9 years meditating alone. And they used to describe him as the monk who was facing the wall for 9 years. In Chinese and Vietnamese, diện bích cửu niên. So the conversation is quite interesting. We have to look at that and reflect on it to see one day what do we understand. So Bodhidharma was the first patriarch of Chinese Buddhism, and follow him there's several. Up to the fifth one, the famous Hui Ko. Hui Ko, famous Zen teacher, has a student named Hui Nang. Hui Nang is the sixth patriarch who made Buddhism flourishing, beautiful flower in China. Until one day we have Lin Chi, and then following Lin Chi, we had Thầy Liễu Quán in Vietnam, and then Thầy Nhất Hạnh was part of this lineage. And we who took the 5 mindfulness training with Thầy Nhất Hạnh, we follow this lineage. And there was also a story between before Hui Ko gave the mind transmission to the next patriarch. He would like to see who among his students has attained some kind of great understanding. So he asked all the students to come up with a short gatha, a short poem describing what you feel. And among his students, there was a monk named Shen Hiu, Thần Tu, and he's one of the greatest scholars among the students. He knows everything, like a PhD guy. He knows Buddhism so well. So he put out a gatha, and he literally said, "My mind is like a mirror, covered with dust. So every day, I wipe the dust out, and I spend time to make the mirror shine. And one day, the mirror really shining." So it's like by doing that, he will attain enlightenment. Ta-da! So continue to clean your mirror. And then there was a guy, his name Hui Nang, the famous Hui Nang, that makes Buddhism in China blossom. He's someone who was assigned to work in the kitchen. He's not, knowledgeable about sutra. He helped cutting the carrots, the potatoes, and all that, cooking for all the monks and nuns. And one day he walked with a friend, and he saw people looking at the gatha that Thần Tu put on the dashboard, and he would like to know what it is. His friend told him that, and he said, "Me too. I also have a gatha. Could I put it out?" And his friend said, "Yes. Our patriarch said everybody should present what we understand about our practice." So he put out 4 sentences. He said, "Honestly, there is no mirror. You waste your time cleaning because you will never attain something by doing that. Completely the opposite of what Thần Tu said." And Hui Ko walked in front of the board, saw the 2 gatha, and he took his, savat, and he wiped the one from Hui Nang. He just left the one from the PhD guy. And he asked who wrote that, and he knows where he stayed. He went to the kitchen, and he does that on the one of the kitchens where he knocked 3 times. And Hui Nang understood right away that you will come to see me at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I wait for you. So Hui Nang showed up, and Hui Ko give the lamp and whatever instruments and tell Huineng, you should leave the compound and disappear somewhere. Don't stay here. Because if they discovered that I gave you the lamp, you might be in trouble. So Huineng left and established himself in the southern part of China, and where he started to have thousands of students and all the followers who discovered that he is really an enlightened teacher. So, coming to the next part, Thầy follow all those Mahayana Sutra, and one of the most important ones that Thầy insisted in his book was the Avatamsaka Sutra, translated in English as Flower Garland Sutra. This sutra is about the vision of a holistic, interconnected cosmos where every phenomenon that we call Dharma with a little d interpenetrates and reflects all others. It teaches that the entire universe is contained within every speck of dust, emphasizing that all beings also possess inherent Buddha nature. We all have the nature to understand and become someone like the Buddha. So the Avatamsaka Sutra, with Thay's book, teaches that our experience of the world is entirely shaped by our consciousness, which is called mind-only doctrine. That's terrible. That's quite a statement. The whole world is created by our mind. So you reflect on it. Now, I do a movie. Ta-da! My question is, have you ever looked deeply into one flower? That could be a good question. A công án for our practice. Have you ever looked deeply into a person that you love? Have you ever looked deeply into a person that you hate? It could be that too. Have you ever looked deeply into someone belonging to your family? So on and so forth. We are concentrated with our busy mind, our daily life, our agenda, and we don't pay attention. So with our practice, with our mindfulness, we should be able to observe, and we can practice deep looking a bit more. So Thầy wrote the book, and the book is about the 50 verse on the nature of consciousness, which is our mind, understanding our mind. Thầy wrote it in 1990, which became the roadmap to the path of practice in the Mahayana Buddhism. It represents the truth, the essence of Buddhist thought from the Abhidharma teachings, which is the encyclopedia in the time of the Buddha, to the Pali Canon of the Theravada, to later Mahayana teachings, which is such as the Avatamsaka Sutra. So I would like to conclude in taking two stands from the 50 verse of my alone teaching. The 41 say, meditating on the nature of interdependence, we can transform delusion into enlightenment. That's quite a statement, but that is the path of practice. We should always contemplate on the nature of interdependence so that gradually we can transform our delusion and to grow better in our understanding. And the stanza 41 says, samsara and suchness are not two, they are one and the same. So we have, on the one hand, the historical dimension, the relative truth. And on the other hand, there also the ultimate truth, the ultimate dimension. But the two intertwine, the two are there together, they are one and the same, such as suffering and happiness are the same. They both co-exist, co-arise. So transformation takes place, stands 48, in our daily life. To make the work of transformation easy, you should practice with the Ottawa Pagoda Sangha. I'm kidding. You should practice with a Sangha. And this Sangha, you have to work, help, contribute, so that this Sangha become more suitable for our liking, for our condition. So we all help to make it work. So together we will form the future Buddha as a Sangha. So it all depends on each of us. Because finding an ideal Sangha, we may be very disappointed. Even if you go to Plum Village and you live with the monks and nuns, the conditions are ideal. But at some point, you may not find it good enough for you, or you may want to quit. There's some people who did that, but some people continue to be there, and they all work to make the conditions more favorable for their practice, and hopefully they will attain some kinds of liberation and attain some kind of enlightenment. So with that, I conclude in bowing to all of you and thank for your presence.